welcome back to You're Welcome. I'm so grateful that you decided to tune in. If you haven't yet, I would love a subscribe, a follow, a favorite, a like, anything that you can on either platform, whether that's on podcast or my YouTube channel. Either one is greatly appreciated. But let's get into this week's episode. So if you're not new to my podcast or my channel, then you know that I talk about all things inner work having to do with self-identity and the improvement of your self-concept and reaching our future self. I suffered so much in the past from low concept, from low self-worth, from not knowing who I was, from not really identifying and have the confidence to be authentic in my life. And so that is something that I'm so passionate about speaking about. And so today, to keep the focus on focusing on you, because lately I've been talking so much about focusing on you, especially when it comes to dating. And obviously this advice is can't just go towards dating. Like, you can also pertain this advice and use this advice towards friendships or anything in your life. But dating has been something that I really took a step back on this year in order to focus more on myself, to have more creativity and more time for myself, to not focus on what a man could do for me, but instead what I could do for myself. And I thought by doing that, it would help me when it came to who I was choosing when it comes to dating or my future partner. And I feel like it's truly working. So when I say it's truly working, I don't mean that I'm actively dating. I have chosen this year to just taking a step back, but it gave me a major aha about the mistakes that I was making in dating when it came to who I was choosing or who I was allowing to be in my life, who I was choosing as my long-term partners. And I realized a lot of that had to do with me choosing someone who had potential versus someone who was executing. I always wondered why I was choosing men or ended up with men who had these lofty goals, who I would think was so ambitious and had all of this stuff going on. And then when I really looked within the relationship, or the person couldn't keep up the facade, I realized they were really just built on potential with no execution. And that's not to say that they weren't doing anything at all, but that's just to say that they weren't reaching their potential, or they weren't fully reaching their potential because they didn't have any plans when it came to the execution of the steps towards their goals. And if you have found yourself in this situation as well, the biggest thing that we need to do is not really blame those men or blame those people, but to look within and see that everyone who you encounter is a mirror for how you feel about yourself. Are you executing on your goals, or are you just full of potential? And when I really took a step back and was like, had a come to Jesus moment with myself, I realized, wow, India, you are also just full of potential. You are pretending that you have your life all together, which is a very Capricorn thing, but in general, just pretending that you have your life all together when you really don't have anything going on when it comes to what you want out of life. And again, that's not to say that I wasn't working, because again, I was working. That's not to say that those men weren't working, but I feel like when you aren't really reaching and striving towards your goals, but you have all these big dreams and you're just not doing the steps to execute or to push yourself towards what it is that you desire, you're going to meet people who are the exact same way. And to be honest, I didn't have the self-confidence or the self-worth to build the life of my dreams. I really didn't. And so of course I was going to meet men who also didn't have the self-confidence or the self-worth that I needed as well. They didn't have the skills or the abilities to reach their goals. And that's not to say that they didn't have the physical abilities to do so, but they didn't have the mental faculties, the mental abilities to really strive for and push themselves and motivate themselves, and to have the discipline to really go after what they wanted out of life. And so that's a very important reflective moment to have. Why would I expect to attract a man who is executing their goals and have reached what they want out of life if I'm not doing that myself? And again, that doesn't mean that you have to have these lofty financial goals. Like, that's not what this means at all. But are you executing towards any goal that you have? Whether that is a hobby that you want to do or reaching a certain fitness goal. Those are just small examples. And of course, the more bigger examples are of, are you in the career that you really want to be in? Have you pushed yourself to have the self-employed job, or not self-employed job, but to create the business that you really want. And again, if you haven't even started to make actionable steps towards your goals, why do you expect for God, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it my spirit team, to bring you a man who is doing that as well? All you're going to do is create resistance and create problems, because all you're going to do is most likely self-sabotage if you were to get that, because you are going to tell yourself, why am I deserving of this? And that is a lot of times what happens with men as well. Men will have, or will say that they want this girl who does all these great things, and then when they get them, they self-sabotage because they don't feel like they really truly deserve it. And the difference between potential and execution is just that. Potential is just potential. And they always say, don't go for a man who is just all about potential, or don't go for a partner who is just potential, because if you don't like them as they are right now, who's to say that they will be who you want them to be? And so now when I'm ready to start dating again, I'm not going to look for potential. I'm going to look for someone who is executing. And because I too am executing towards my goals, and I have actionable steps, I have goals, I have ambitions, I'm pushing myself every single day. I have not only the motivation, but the discipline to do the things that I really need to do to make it to where I want to be. And that's within every part of my life, not just financially, but physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Then I'm going to be met with men who are doing the same thing. And of course, you're going to have those people who test you to see if you are sticking to what you said you were going to do. But because again, you are executing, you're not going to waste your time with those people, because you are so focused on you and you know what you want. Ultimately, you are going to be able to easily release those people, or not even give those people the time of day. And so it's important to realize that it all starts with you. Become a living example of what you want out of your dating life. Become a living example of not just what you want out of your dating life, but what you want out of everything in your life. And when you build that trust within yourself first, when you have that self-worth, when you have done the inner work to build your self-identity, and knowing that I am more than just what people want me to be, I am more than just potential. I am more than just these pipe dreams that I keep talking about and never doing anything about, because I am doing exactly what I said I was going to do. And it doesn't matter what the 3D world is showing me. All that matters is how I feel about myself, because I know that it all starts from within. And if I am doing the work on myself, and I'm continuing to take actionable steps towards my goals, that I'm going to meet my goals, then you will also meet people who are just like that. Because again, how we feel about ourselves is a mirror for who shows up in our life. People mirror to us exactly how we feel about ourselves. And so if you feel confident in yourself, if you trust yourself, if you feel that you deserve the best, if you are going after everything that you want in life, who's to say that you aren't going to meet people who are just as focused, just as dedicated to their life as you? And ultimately, when you are executing on your goals, there is obvious risk involved, because you're coming outside of your comfort zone. And when you are coming outside of your comfort zone to try something, to do something that is risky, to do something that you're not sure if it's going to work or not, meeting people who are just like that is only going to push you and motivate you more. Really ask yourself, are the men that you're attracting full of potential, or are they full of execution? Are the men that you're attracting, are they actually doing the things that they said they were going to do, or do they just talk about all these things without doing it? Will you regret being with someone who is full of potential but is not actually doing anything? And if you're with someone who is full of potential but no execution, again, it all starts with you. Put the focus back on yourself. That's not to say that that relationship is doomed or it won't work out. It didn't work out for me, but it could work out for you. But it all again starts with you, putting that focus back on yourself and executing towards your goals. And maybe the more that you execute towards your goals, you will inspire that person to do the same. And again, that's not to say to be with someone who is changing just for you, because I've been there, and that is a recipe for tragedy and disaster. But being with someone and being able to assess, is this person with me because I give them a feeling that they can't get anywhere else? Or are they with me because I make them a better person, because they feel like they can build a real life with me, is the real question. You don't want to be with someone who is just going to change for you and is only doing things just for you, because that type of change is not going to last. And you're, again, just going to end up feeling worse about the situation. That doesn't mean you need to break up with them either. That just means taking a step back to focus on you, focus on your goals, focus on what you want out of life. And the more that you focus on you, the clearer your head will be about what you should do in regards to that partner, whether that is stay or go, because you'll have the self-concept to know, okay, these are the things that I'm looking for. This is who I am. So this is what I want out of it. You'll have the discernment to know, should I stay in this or should I go? Because that person will show you themselves what it is that they also want out of life. Because again, everyone is a mirror for who you are. So that person will either step up or they will step out. Basically, everything comes down to you. Everything in life comes down to how you feel about yourself. It all starts with you. And the more you focus on doing the inner work within, the more you are going to see your life thrive, because it has no choice but to. And again, there are going to be tests that come up and you may fail them. You may say, oh, wow, I knew better than to do that. And that's also okay. That's going to happen. By the end of the day, you know who you are, and all that does is that mistake just strengthens your self-identity. You're no longer hard on yourself about it. You just say, okay, that didn't work out. I know why exactly that didn't work out. You focus on yourself and allow the next better thing to come. And honestly, ladies, we deserve so much more. We ourselves are naturally people who want to motivate and inspire. So instead of looking for a man to motivate and inspire, do that for yourself and allow that man to show up for you. And honestly, to differentiate the two, taking a break has been the best thing that I've ever done when it came to dating, because the more I focus on myself, the more I know that the options are only going to get better and better and better for me, because I'm getting better. And so the universe has no choice but to present me with options that match who I am today. So remember, potential and execution are two different things. They are not the same. You don't want a man who is full of potential with no drive, no actionable steps. You want someone who is executing. And again, when someone is executing, that doesn't mean that they are at the top of their game. I think sometimes also as women, we expect to get this man who is this billionaire, who drives a yacht and a Porsche and does all these things. But what about the men who are truly executing towards what they want out of life? Where do you think they're going to end up? Because they're the next Steve Jobs. They're the next Mark, what's his name? The Facebook guy. They're the next Elon Musk. They're the next businessmen of our generation. So why not give those men a chance who are actually executing towards their goals? Don't always just look for someone, and this is something I've had to tell myself, don't always just look for someone who is a finished package. Look for someone who has the drive, the ambition, is executing, and has actionable steps towards their goals, and that you have this deep feeling within yourself is going somewhere, because you're also going somewhere. Dating is not easy, obviously. Dating is very hard for women, and obviously like there are some things that came out about men being embarrassing and all of that. And when you're with the right person, it's the right person. Allow that right person to show up in your life. Don't just settle for potential just because that's what's available. Focus on you and trust that the right person will come along when they're supposed to, because you are so worthy of that. And because you know that you are so worthy, it has no choice but to come. So that is all that I have for you guys this week, ladies. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, again, I would enjoy or would love a subscribe, a follow, a favorite, a 5-star rating on my podcast, whichever works for you. I started uploading my videos on Spotify, so if you are still just a podcast person but want to see a visual, you can see that on my Spotify channel. And per usual, I'm so grateful for you guys for being here, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye!